War Commander Vextar stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Crimson Talon, watching his boarding pods race toward the human ship. He was a tall creature with gray skin, 4 arms, and yellow eyes that could see perfectly in the dark. His species, the Zephyrians, had been conquering other races for over 300 years. They were very good at it. "Commander," said his Lieutenant Crixnell, "the boarding pods will reach the human vessel in 2 minutes. 30 warriors are ready to take the ship." Vextar nodded. The human ship looked like an easy target. It was small, had weak weapons, and had not tried to fight back. The humans had even asked to leave peacefully, which proved they were cowards. This would be another simple raid with another ship to add to the Empire's fleet. "Tell the boarding party to take prisoners," Vextar ordered. "I want to question these humans about their home world. A new species means new planets to conquer." On board the Liberty's Edge, Jake Morrison was giving orders to his crew over the intercom. "All scientific staff to secure stations. Security. Teams to boarding positions. Lisa, I need you to make some special modifications to our systems." Lisa Parker was already moving toward the engineering section. "What kind of modifications, Captain?" "The kind that will make our guests very unhappy," Jake replied. Chief Petty Officer Sam Rodriguez was waiting in the main corridor with his security team. Sam was a big man with muscles like steel cables and hands that could crush metal. He had fought in 3 different wars before joining the Exploration Service. Next to him stood Sergeant Kelly Martinez, a woman who could hit a target at 500 yards with any weapon ever made. "Listen up," Sam told his team. "These aliens think they're boarding a science ship full of scared researchers. Let's show them how wrong they are." The Liberty's Edge shook as the alien boarding pods attached to the hull. Cutting tools began burning through the metal. Sam and his team took positions behind portable barriers, weapons ready. Dr. Nathan Brooks was in the medical bay, but he was not just preparing to treat wounded crew members. He was setting up scanners to analyze any alien prisoners they might take. The more they learned about these creatures, the better they could fight them. Amy Turner was at her station, but she was not just monitoring communications. She was trying to hack into the alien ship's computer systems. If she could break their codes, the humans would have a huge advantage. Ryan Cooper was coordinating the defense from the tactical station. On his screens, he could see exactly where the aliens were cutting through the hull. "Captain, they're coming through in 3 places: Deck 7, Deck 9, and the cargo bay." "Sam, Kelly, you know what to do," Jake said over the intercom. The first aliens broke through the hull on Deck 7. They were tall creatures with gray skin and 4 arms, each holding a different weapon. They wore black armor and moved like trained soldiers. But they had made their first mistake by thinking the Liberty's Edge was defenseless. Sam Rodriguez stepped out from behind his barrier and opened fire. His weapon was not the standard laser rifle that most exploration ships carried. It was a military-grade plasma cannon that could cut through tank armor. The first alien went down instantly. Sergeant Kelly Martinez appeared from a side corridor and hit 2 more aliens with perfect shots. Her team moved with the smooth coordination of soldiers who had fought together for years. The aliens were confused. They had expected to find scared scientists hiding in corners. Instead, they found trained fighters using military weapons and tactics. The Zephyrians were good warriors, but they had never faced humans in combat before. On Deck 9, more aliens were breaking through the hull. But Lisa Parker had been busy. She had rerouted power from the ship's research equipment and turned the corridor into a trap. When the aliens stepped inside, electric fields stunned them and magnetic nets dropped from the ceiling. "Got 6 more," Lisa reported over the intercom. "They're alive, but not going anywhere." In the cargo bay, the largest group of aliens was coming through. 20 Zephyrian warriors led by Lieutenant Crixnell expected to take the ship's main storage area without any trouble. Instead, they found themselves facing something they had never seen before. Dr. Nathan Brooks had moved some of his medical equipment to the cargo bay, but he was not there to help wounded aliens. He had created a gas that would make the Zephyrians dizzy and weak without killing them. The aliens stumbled around, unable to aim their weapons properly. "Now," Kelly Martinez said into her radio. Marines came out of hiding spots all around the cargo bay. They had been waiting patiently, like hunters setting up an ambush. The confused aliens found themselves surrounded by humans who knew exactly what they were doing. Lieutenant Crixenall tried to rally his warriors, but the gas was making it hard to think clearly. He fired his weapon at the nearest human, but the shot went wide. A moment later, he felt something hit him in the chest, and everything went dark. On the bridge of the Crimson Talon, War Commander Vextar was getting worried reports from his boarding parties. "Sir, we're taking heavy casualties. The humans are fighting back with military weapons. This is not a research ship." Vexatar's yellow eyes narrowed. "Impossible. Our sensors show no military signatures. Keep attacking." But the reports kept getting worse. Half of his boarding party was dead or captured. The humans were using tactics that the Zephyrians had never encountered. They did not fight like any species the Empire had conquered before. Jake Morrison was watching the battle from his bridge, but he was not just defending his ship. He was studying the aliens through the security cameras, learning how they moved and fought. Every piece of information could be useful later. "Amy, any luck with their communications?" he asked. Amy Turner smiled. "Getting there, Captain. Their encryption is tough, but not impossible. Give me another hour and I'll be reading their mail." Ryan Cooper was coordinating the cleanup. "Captain, we've secured all 3 boarding areas. Casualties are light on our side. We've captured 15 aliens alive and killed 12 more. What about their weapons and equipment?" Jake asked. "We've got everything, sir. Lisa's already started analyzing their technology. Lisa Parker was in engineering, taking apart an alien weapon with the help of her team. The Zephyrian technology was more advanced than human equipment in some ways, but it was also more complicated. Humans preferred simple, reliable designs that could be fixed or modified quickly. Interesting, Lisa said to herself as she studied the alien weapon's power. Source: they use a lot more energy than they need to. Wasteful design. Dr. Brooks was examining the captured aliens in the medical bay. The Zephyrians were unconscious from the gas he had used, but their life signs were stable. He was taking detailed scans of their biology, looking for weaknesses that could be exploited in future battles. "Captain," he reported over the intercom, "these aliens have some interesting physical limitations. Their reaction time is slower than ours, and they can't see as well in bright light. Also, they seem to have trouble thinking clearly when they're stressed." Jake nodded. Every weakness the doctor found could save human lives later. Sam Rodriguez was interrogating the aliens who were awake. Most of them seemed shocked that they had been defeated so easily. They kept asking how a research ship could have such powerful weapons and trained soldiers. "They really thought we were helpless," Sam reported to the captain. "They've never fought anyone who could match their technology before." Jake looked at the main screen, where the Zephyrian warships were still surrounding his vessel. The aliens had tried to take his ship and failed badly. Now they had to decide what to do next. But Jake was already planning his next move. The Liberty's Edge might be outnumbered 8-1, but the aliens had just learned their first hard lesson about fighting humans. They had expected to find scared scientists. Instead, they had found soldiers, engineers, and doctors who could turn anything into a weapon. War Commander Vextar was about to discover that boarding a human ship was just the beginning of his problems. Captain Jake Morrison stood in the engineering section, watching Lisa Parker work on the captured alien equipment. She had taken apart 3 Zephyrian weapons and was now building something completely new from the pieces. "How long do you need, Lisa?" Jake asked. "Give me 2 more hours, Captain. Maybe less if Amy can crack their computer codes." Lisa held up a strange device that looked like a mix of human and alien technology. "Their power systems are actually pretty simple once you understand how they work, but they never thought about making them work with other equipment. Amy Turner looked up from her computer station. She had moved to engineering so she could work directly with the alien technology. I'm getting somewhere with their communications, Captain. These Zephyrians use a lot of military channels, but their security is not as good as they think it is. Dr. Nathan Brooks walked into the room, carrying a small device that beeped softly. Captain, I've finished analyzing the alien prisoners. Their biology has some very interesting weaknesses we can use. Jake nodded. Tell me. They're stronger than humans, but not faster. Their reflexes are about 20% slower than ours. They also have trouble seeing in bright light, and their hearing is not very good. Most important, they seem to panic when things don't go according to their plans. Ryan Cooper's voice came over the intercom. Captain, the alien ships are moving into a tighter formation around us. I think they're getting ready for another attack. Jake walked back to the bridge, followed by his senior officers. On the main screen, the 8 Zephyrian warships had formed a circle around the Liberty's edge. It looked like they were preparing to either board again or destroy the human ship completely. Any word from their commander? Jake asked. Amy shook her head. Nothing, sir. They've gone completely quiet. Jake thought for a moment. The aliens had tried to take his ship by force and failed. Now they were probably trying to decide whether to try again or just blow the Liberty's edge apart. Either way, Jake was not planning to sit still and wait for them to make up their minds. Lisa, I need you to implement Protocol 7, Jake said. Lisa's eyes went wide. Protocol 7 was something they had trained for, but hoped they would never have to use. It meant turning the Liberty's edge from a research ship into something much more dangerous. Are you sure, Captain? Once we start Protocol 7, there's no going back. I'm sure. How long do you need? 4 hours for the basic setup. 8 hours for the full conversion. You've got 4 hours. Amy, I need you to start jamming their communications. I don't want them talking to each other or calling for help. Amy smiled. Already working on it, sir. I've been listening to their radio chatter, and they're definitely confused about what happened to their boarding party. On the bridge of the Crimson Talon, War Commander Vex Tar was having a very bad day. Half of his elite boarding party was dead or captured. The human ship was still intact and seemed to be getting stronger instead of weaker. Worst of all, he could not contact his other ships. Commander, said his communications officer, all our radio channels are being jammed. I can't reach the other vessels in our fleet. Vex Tar's 4 arms clenched into fists. How is a research ship jamming military-grade communications equipment? Lieutenant Crixnall was unconscious in the Liberty's Edge medical bay, so Vex Tar had no one to tell him what had really happened during the boarding attempt. All he knew was that 30 of his best warriors had been defeated by what was supposed to be a helpless exploration vessel. Sir, said his tactical officer, should we attack the human ship directly? Our weapons can destroy it easily. Vex Tar thought about this. Destroying the ship would be simple, but it would also mean losing any chance to learn about these humans and their technology. The Zephyrian Empire always preferred to capture new technology rather than destroy it. No. Prepare another boarding party. This time we'll send 100 warriors instead of 30. Back on the Liberty's Edge, Jake was watching his crew work with quiet pride. In just a few hours, they had gone from being victims of an alien attack to being in control of the situation. But he knew the real test was still coming. Lisa Parker had turned the ship's main laboratory into a weapons factory. Using parts from the captured alien equipment and materials from the ship's supplies, she was building devices that no one had ever seen before. The Liberty's Edge had been designed for exploration, which meant it carried tools and materials for building almost anything. Captain, Lisa called out, you need to see this. Jake walked over to her workbench where she was holding something that looked like a standard communicator. But when she pressed a button, sparks flew from a piece of Zephyrian equipment across the room. I can overload their systems remotely, Lisa explained. Their technology is powerful, but it's not protected against feedback loops. I can make their own equipment work against them." Dr. Brooks had set up a small laboratory in the corner of the room. He was working with samples from the captured aliens, creating compounds that would affect Zephyrian biology without harming humans. "I've got something that will make them sleepy, something that will make them sick, and something that will make them very afraid," he reported. "All of them are harmless to us but very effective against their species." Amy Turner had connected her computer directly to the captured alien communication devices. She was not just jamming Zephyrian radio signals now, she was actually intercepting and changing their messages. "Captain, I can make their ships receive false orders. They won't know the commands are coming from us instead of their commander." Ryan Cooper was coordinating with the ship's small security force. Sam Rodriguez and Kelly Martinez were training the rest of the crew in advanced combat techniques. Even the scientists and engineers were learning to fight like soldiers. "Sir," Ryan reported, "we've got 38 people ready for combat operations. That's almost the entire crew." Jake nodded. The Liberty's Edge had been built to carry a crew of peace-loving explorers, but every person on board had been chosen for more than just their scientific skills. They were all former military personnel who had volunteered for deep space exploration. "Captain," Amy said suddenly, "I'm picking up movement from the alien fleet. They're launching more boarding pods. A lot more." Jake looked at the tactical display. Over 20 small ships were heading toward the Liberty's Edge. The aliens were clearly planning a much larger attack this time. "How long until they reach us?" Jake asked. 8 minutes, Ryan replied. Jake smiled. 8 minutes was more than enough time. "Lisa, activate all your new toys. Amy, start sending false orders to their fleet. Nathan, get your special compounds ready for deployment. Ryan, coordinate with Sam and Kelly for the defense." "What about you, Captain?" Lisa asked. Jake walked toward the bridge. "I'm going to call their commander and have a little chat." As the alien boarding pods raced toward his ship, Jake Morrison was not worried. The Zephyrians thought they were attacking the same helpless research vessel they had tried to capture before. They had no idea that the Liberty's Edge was no longer just an exploration ship. It had become something much more dangerous, and the aliens were about to learn just how dangerous humans could be when they were angry. Jake Morrison sat in the captain's chair, watching the alien boarding pods get closer to his ship. But instead of looking worried, he was actually smiling. The Zephyrians were about to get the surprise of their lives. "Amy, open a channel to the alien commander," Jake ordered. "Channel open, Captain," Jake spoke in a calm, friendly voice. "War Commander Vexitar, this is Captain Morrison. I think we should talk before you make another mistake." On the bridge of the Crimson Talon, Vexitar was shocked to hear his name. How did the human know who he was? And how was the human ship able to contact him directly when all their communications were supposed to be jammed? "Human Captain," Vexitar growled. "Surrender your ship now, and your crew will not be harmed." Jake laughed. "Commander, I don't think you understand the situation. Your first boarding party failed completely. Your second boarding party is about to fail even worse. Maybe we should try talking instead of fighting." "Impossible," Vexitar replied. "You are one small ship against 8 large warships. You cannot win." "Amy, show him what we can do," Jake said quietly. Amy Turner pressed several buttons on her console. Suddenly, one of the Zephyrian escort ships opened fire on another ship in their own fleet. The aliens watched in horror as their own weapons destroyed one of their vessels. "What is happening?" Vexitar screamed at his officers. His communications officer was frantically working at his station. "Sir, that ship received orders to attack, but the orders came from us. I don't understand how that's possible." Amy had intercepted the fleet's command codes and was now sending false orders to individual ships. The Zephyrians had built their entire military system around following orders without question. They never imagined that someone could turn that system against them. "Commander," Jake said over the radio, That was just a small demonstration. I can make your entire fleet destroy itself if I want to, but I'd rather not waste all those lives. Lisa. Parker was in engineering, working at a control panel covered with buttons and switches that had not been there an hour ago. She was connected to every piece of captured Zephyrian technology on the ship, and through those connections, she could reach the alien vessels surrounding them. "Captain," Lisa reported, "I'm ready to take control of their escort ship number 3. Want me to bring it over to our side?" "Do it," Jake replied. On Vextar's tactical display, one of his escort ships suddenly changed course and moved to protect the human vessel instead of attacking it. The ship's weapons turned toward the other Zephyrian vessels, ready to fire on its former allies. "This is not possible," Vextar said, but his voice was shaking now. Dr. Nathan Brooks was in the cargo bay with Sam Rodriguez and Kelly Martinez, preparing for the second wave of alien boarders. But instead of just setting up defenses, they were preparing something special. "The gas is ready," Dr. Brooks reported. "As soon as they cut through the hull, they're going to get very sleepy very quickly." Sam Rodriguez was positioning small devices around the cargo bay. Each device contained one of Dr. Brooks' chemical compounds, designed to affect Zephyrian biology in different ways. Some would make the aliens dizzy, others would make them afraid. All of them would make fighting much harder. 30 seconds, until they breached the hull, Kelly Martinez reported. She was not hiding behind barriers this time. Instead, she was standing in the open, holding a weapon that looked like it had been built from alien and human parts combined. The Zephyrian boarding, pods attached to the Liberty's edge and began cutting through the metal. But as soon as the first alien stepped inside, Dr. Brooks's compounds began to work. The warriors stumbled and fell, their weapons clattering to the floor. "Sleep tight," Sam said, as he and his team collected the unconscious aliens. Meanwhile, Amy Turner was having the time of her life playing with the Zephyrian fleet's communication system. She had broken all their codes and was now sending messages between ships that made no sense at all. "Ship 4. Attack Ship 2 immediately," she sent in the commander's voice. "Ship 7, retreat to safe distance and call for backup," she told. "Another vessel. All ships, the human vessel has a doomsday weapon. Do not get too close," she warned the entire fleet. The Zephyrian ships began moving in different directions, following conflicting orders that seemed to come from their own command structure. Some ships moved closer to attack, while others retreated for safety. The neat formation they had maintained for hours fell apart completely. War Commander Vextar watched his disciplined fleet turn into chaos and felt something he had never experienced before. Fear. Real, deep fear that made his hands shake and his breathing become difficult. "Sir," his tactical officer reported, "we're receiving orders to attack the human ship, retreat from the human ship, and surrender to the human ship. All at the same time, all with your command codes." Ryan Cooper was watching the alien fleet's movements from the Liberty's Edge tactical station. The Zephyrian ships were now scattered across space, some pointing their weapons at each other instead of at the human vessel. "Captain, their formation is completely broken. They're acting like they don't know what they're supposed to be doing." Jake nodded. "Amy, send them one more message. Make it from their high command." Amy's fingers flew over her keyboard. In perfect Zephyrian military language, she broadcast an urgent message that appeared to come from the highest levels of their government. "All ships, the human vessel contains a new type of weapon that can control our technology. Do not approach. Do not attack. Wait for further orders." The message had an immediate effect. The remaining Zephyrian ships moved away from the Liberty's edge, leaving a large empty space around the human vessel. Lisa Parker was now in complete control of 2 Zephyrian escort ships. Their weapons were pointed at Vextar's flagship, and their crews had no idea what was happening to their own vessels. "Captain," Lisa reported, "I can take control of their main ship, too. Just give me another hour." "How many aliens did we capture in this boarding attempt?" Jake asked. Sam Rodriguez's voice came over the intercom. 43 prisoners, sir. All alive and unharmed. Dr. Brooks's compounds worked perfectly. Jake stood up and walked to the main screen where he could see the scattered Zephyrian fleet. In less than 6 hours, he had turned a hopeless situation into a complete victory. His small research ship was now controlling enemy vessels and had captured over 50 alien warriors. Amy, open a channel to Commander Vextar again. Channel open, sir. Commander, Jake said in the same calm voice he had used before. I think it's time we had a serious conversation. You've lost 2 escort ships, most of your boarding parties, and control of your own fleet. This can end peacefully, or it can get much worse for you. Vextar stared at the human ship on his screen. It looked exactly the same as it had hours ago, but somehow it had become the most dangerous thing he had ever encountered. His warriors were captured, his ships were turning against him, and his entire fleet was in chaos. What do you want, human? Vextar asked. Jake smiled. I want to talk. I want to learn about your people and your empire. I want to understand why you attack ships that are just trying to explore space peacefully. And if I refuse? Then Amy will send orders for your remaining ships to destroy each other. Lisa will take control of your flagship, and you'll spend the rest of your life in our prison cells. Your choice, Commander. Vextar looked around his bridge at officers, who were staring at him with expressions of complete confusion and growing fear. His mighty fleet had been defeated by a single human ship that was not even designed for combat. Very well, human captain, we will talk. Jake sat back down in his chair, satisfied. The Zephyrians had learned their first hard lesson about humanity. Never assume you know what you're dealing with just by looking at it. But the lesson was far from over. Jake Morrison stood in the Liberty's Edge conference room, looking at a large screen that showed War Commander Vextar on his bridge. The alien commander looked tired and confused, nothing like the proud warrior who had demanded surrender just hours ago. Commander, Jake began, before we start talking, I think you should know more about who you're dealing with. Amy, begin the cultural broadcast. Amy Turner pressed a button, and suddenly every screen on every Zephyrian ship began showing images from human history. But these were not peaceful pictures of art and music. These were scenes from humanity's wars. The aliens watched in growing horror as they saw the Battle of Gettysburg, where over 50,000 humans killed each other in 3 days. They saw the beaches of Normandy, where thousands of young men charged into machine gun fire to defeat an evil empire. They saw the siege of Stalingrad, where an entire city fought for months against impossible odds. These are your people's battles? Vextar asked, his voice quiet with shock. Some of them, Jake replied calmly. Humans have been fighting wars for thousands of years, Commander. We've learned to be very good at it. Dr. Nathan Brooks had joined Jake in the conference room. He was holding a tablet that showed detailed medical scans of the captured Zephyrian warriors. Commander, Dr. Brooks said in a friendly voice, I've been taking care of your wounded soldiers. They're all alive and healing well. I thought you might like to know that we could have killed them all very easily, but we chose not to. Vextar's yellow eyes widened. In Zephyrian culture, captured enemies were either killed or enslaved. The idea of treating prisoners with medical care was completely foreign to him. On the alien ships, the cultural broadcast continued. The Zephyrians saw images of human cities with millions of people, vast factories that could build thousands of ships, and armies with weapons that could destroy entire planets. But they also saw hospitals where humans healed their enemies, schools, where children learned about peace and art that celebrated life instead of death. I don't understand, Vextar said. Your people are warriors, but you also show mercy. How is this possible? Jake leaned forward. That's what makes humans dangerous, Commander. We can fight harder than anyone you've ever met, but we can also choose not to fight. We can destroy our enemies completely, or we can turn them into friends. You never know which one we'll choose until it's too late. Lisa Parker's voice came over the intercom. Captain, I've finished analyzing their ship. Designs, you're going to want to see this. Jake nodded to Dr. Brooks, who took over the conversation with Vextar while Jake walked to the engineering section. Lisa was standing in front of a large display that showed detailed blueprints of Zephyrian vessels. Their ships are powerful, Captain, but they're built for bullying weaker enemies. Look at this. Lisa pointed to several areas on the blueprint. No redundant systems, no backup power supplies, and all their important equipment is in easy-to-reach locations. They've never fought anyone who could actually damage their ships. What does that mean for us? Jake asked. It means I can disable their entire fleet without destroying a single ship. Their designers never thought about protecting against sabotage from inside their own systems. Meanwhile, Amy Turner was having a conversation with the captured Zephyrian warriors in the detention area. She had learned their language perfectly in just a few hours and was asking them questions about their empire. How many worlds does your empire control? Amy asked one of the prisoners. Over 200 systems, the alien replied proudly. We are the strongest military force in this part of the galaxy. We're the strongest, Amy corrected gently. Tell me, in all your conquests, did you ever fight anyone who fought back as hard as we did? The prisoner thought for a moment, then shook his head. No. Most species surrender when they see our fleet. Others fight for a few hours and then give up. You are different. Amy smiled. Yes, we are. Very different. On the bridge of the Crimson Talon, Vextar was still watching the human cultural broadcast. The images had changed to show human space exploration. Massive ships that dwarfed his own vessels, space stations that could house millions of people, and terraforming equipment that could turn dead planets into garden worlds. How many ships does humanity have? Vextar asked Dr. Brooks. I'm not allowed to give you exact numbers, Dr. Brooks replied. But I can tell you that the Liberty's Edge is one of our smallest vessels. Most of our exploration ships are much larger and better armed. This was not entirely true. The Liberty's Edge was actually a fairly typical exploration vessel. But Dr. Brooks knew that the aliens' imagination would fill in the details in ways that would terrify them more than the truth. Ryan Cooper was in the ship's small armory, showing Sam Rodriguez and Kelly Martinez some of the weapons they had built from captured alien technology. These energy rifles are 3 times more powerful than anything the Zephyrians have, Ryan explained. Lisa figured out how to make their own power cells work more efficiently. Sam picked up one of the modified weapons. So we're not just using their technology against them, we're making it better than they ever could. Exactly, Ryan replied. That's what humans do. We take whatever we find and make it work better. Back in the conference room, Jake was explaining human military doctrine to an increasingly worried Vextar. You see, Commander, when humans go to war, we don't just try to win battles. We try to end wars. We study our enemies until we understand everything about them. Then we find ways to defeat them so completely that they never want to fight us again. But you also said you prefer to make friends instead of enemies, Vextar pointed out. That's right, because friends are more useful than dead enemies. Friends can teach us things, trade with us, and help us explore the galaxy. Dead enemies can't do any of that. Amy Turner had returned to her station and was now monitoring communications across the entire Zephyrian fleet. What she heard was making her smile. Captain, she reported, the aliens are talking to each other about us. They're scared, really scared. Some of them are saying we must be some kind of ancient warrior race that's been hiding in unknown space. Jake nodded. Fear could be a useful tool, but only if it was used carefully. Too much fear made enemies desperate, and desperate enemies did stupid things. Amy, start broadcasting some of our music to their ships. Something peaceful. Maybe some classical music or folk songs. Sir? Amy looked confused. They're expecting us to be monsters because we're good at fighting. Let's show them we're not monsters. Let's show them we're people who would rather make music than war. Within minutes, the sounds of human music were playing throughout the Zephyrian fleet. Beethoven's Ninth Symphony, with its themes of joy and brotherhood, filled the alien ships. The warriors who had been terrified by images of human warfare now heard something completely different. Dr. Brooks was still talking with Vextar when the music started. The alien commander looked confused again. "Why are you playing music during a battle?" Vextar asked. "Because the battle is over," Dr. Brooks replied. "We won. Now we're trying to decide what to do next. We could destroy your fleet, capture your ships, or send you home. The music helps us think about peaceful solutions instead of violent ones." Lisa Parker had finished her analysis of the Zephyrian technology and was now working on something new. Using parts from the alien ships and materials from the Liberty's Edge, she was building devices that had never existed before. "Captain," she called over the intercom, "I've created something that will let us communicate directly with every ship in their fleet, override any system on any vessel, and monitor everything they do. We'll know what they're planning before they know it themselves." Jake smiled. The Zephyrians had thought they were attacking a helpless research ship. Instead, they had given humans access to all their military technology, shown them how their empire worked, and provided detailed information about their weaknesses. "Commander Vextar," Jake said, "I think it's time to discuss terms." "What kind of terms?" Vextar asked nervously. "The kind that will keep your people alive and give humanity a chance to make some new friends in this part of the galaxy." On his bridge, surrounded by the sounds of human music and the knowledge that his fleet was completely at the mercy of a single small ship, War Commander Vextar realized that his empire had just encountered something it had never faced before, an enemy that was so confident of victory that it was already planning for peace. Commander Jake Morrison stood at the front window of his ship. The view before him made his blood run cold. Hundreds of alien warships filled the space around Earth. Each ship was bigger than anything humans had ever built. Their dark metal hulls gleamed under the light of the sun. Red and blue lights blinked along their sides like angry eyes. Jake had been fighting in space for 20 years. He had seen battles that would make most people sick, but nothing had prepared him for this sight. The alien fleet stretched as far as he could see. There were so many ships that they blocked out the stars. His communication officer turned toward him. The young woman's face was pale with fear. "Sir, we're getting a message from the lead alien ship. They want to talk to Earth's leaders right now." Jake nodded. He knew this day would come. Earth's spy network had been sending warnings for months. The alien races had finally decided to work together. Their target was the human race. Deep underground in the Rocky Mountains, Admiral Lisa Kane sat in her command center. The room was filled with screens showing data from across the galaxy. She had gray hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. For 30 years, she had been preparing for this moment. The main screen lit up with the image of an alien creature. It stood 8 feet tall on 6 thin legs. Its body looked like a giant insect with arms that ended in sharp claws. 2 large black eyes stared out from its head. When it spoke, its voice sounded like metal scraping against stone. "I am Zektar of the Galactic Coalition," the alien said. "We speak for 12 races from across the galaxy. Your species has spread too far and too fast. You take worlds that do not belong to you. You build weapons that threaten peaceful races. This ends now." Lisa kept her face calm, but inside she was ready. "What do you want from us?" "Complete surrender," Zektar replied. "All human ships will return to Earth. All human colonies will be abandoned. Your people will stay in this solar system under our watch. You will build no more weapons. You will explore no more worlds. If you refuse, we will destroy every human in the galaxy." Lisa looked around the room at her officers. Each person knew what was at stake. "How long do we have to decide?" 72 Earth hours, Zektar said. "After that, we begin the attack." The alien's image disappeared. The room fell silent except for the hum of computers. Lisa stood up slowly. She had been waiting for this conversation for decades. "Contact all department heads," she ordered. "Tell them to start Phase 1 immediately." Her second-in-command, Colonel Ben Parker, stepped forward. "Admiral, are you sure about this? They have enough ships to turn Earth into dust." Lisa smiled for the first time in weeks. "Ben, they think they know what humans are capable of. They have no idea what's coming." On the other side of the planet, Dr. Paul Zhang was already at work. His laboratory was hidden 3 miles underground. The walls were lined with machines that hummed with power. In the center of the room sat his greatest creation. Paul had spent 15 years building the device. It looked like a simple metal cube, but inside were circuits that could bend space itself. The aliens thought humans were still using basic rocket technology. They had no idea that Earth's brightest minds had been working on projects that would seem like magic. His assistant, Dr. Elena Vasquez, checked the readings on her screen. "Paul, the gravitational field generators are ready. We can move objects the size of asteroids anywhere we want." Paul nodded. "Good. What about the stealth systems?" Captain Amy Rodriguez tested them yesterday. Her ship completely disappeared. "From all sensors. The aliens won't see us coming until it's too late." In space, Captain Amy Rodriguez was floating near the edge of the solar system in her ship Aurora. The vessel looked like a standard human scout ship from the outside. Inside, it contained technology that no alien race had ever seen. Amy watched through her telescope as the alien fleet moved into position. Their ships formed perfect lines, just like the military books said they would. These aliens had been fighting the same way for thousands of years. They used the same tactics, the same formations, the same strategies. She spoke into her radio. "Command, this is Rodriguez. The enemy is following formation pattern 7, just like our computer models predicted. They're not adapting at all." Lisa's voice came back through the speaker. "Copy that, Amy. Keep watching them. Let us know if anything changes." Amy smiled. These aliens thought they were fighting primitive humans who had barely learned to travel between stars. They had studied human military history and decided that Earth's forces would be easy to defeat. They had no idea that humans had been planning for this war since the first day they met alien life. The truth was that Earth had discovered alien civilizations 50 years ago. But instead of making contact, human leaders had decided to watch and learn. They sent spies to alien worlds. They studied alien technology. They learned about alien politics and alien wars. What they discovered was both encouraging and terrifying. The alien races were more advanced than humans in many ways. Their ships were faster. Their weapons were more powerful. Their cities were more beautiful than anything on Earth. But the aliens had one major weakness. They had been at peace for so long that they had forgotten how to really fight. Their wars were formal affairs with rules and honor. They gave warnings before attacking. They used the same battle plans that had worked for centuries. Humans had learned to fight very differently. 2 world wars had taught them that survival meant adapting quickly. It meant using any advantage available. It meant being willing to do things that the enemy would never expect. General Frank Miller sat in his office reading reports from human agents across the galaxy. For 20 years, these spies had been living among alien populations. They had learned alien languages, studied alien cultures, and gained positions of trust in alien governments. The aliens had no idea that the friendly human trader in their spaceport was actually a trained intelligence officer. They didn't know that the human scientist working in their research facility was sending data back to Earth. They trusted humans because humans seemed harmless and primitive. This trust was about to be shattered. Frank picked up his secure phone and dialed a number. "Agent Brooks, this is Miller. Phase 1 is active. Begin sabotage operations immediately." On the alien homeworld of Zephyr Prime, Agent Nicole Brooks received the coded message. She had been living on this world for 15 years, working as a trade representative. The aliens treated her with the polite condescension they showed all humans. Nicole walked to her office window and looked out at the alien city. Beautiful towers reached toward the sky. Flying vehicles moved between the buildings in orderly patterns. Everything was clean and peaceful and perfect. In 12 hours, this perfect world would learn what human warfare really meant. Nicole opened her briefcase and took out a small device. It looked like a simple communication unit, but it was actually a quantum transmitter capable of disrupting the entire planet's defense network. She had been waiting 15 years to use it. She activated the device and spoke quietly into it. Command, this is Brooks. I'm in position. The target is completely unaware. Beginning infiltration of their defense systems now. The war was about to begin, and the aliens had no idea what they had started. They thought they were facing a primitive species that would surrender quickly. Instead, they were about to fight, an enemy that had been preparing for this moment for half a century. The next 72 hours would change the galaxy forever.